Previously on
Protect the princess! Allow me some time to inform Convent of my decision. Huh? What? Huh?
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Tony Honorific. I noticed that there's a new update on Fault Milestone 1, which recently came on February 5th, I believe, on 2016. And they added a 3D camera system. And yeah, apparently it moves around while we're, playing the game. So yeah, just want to let you guys know there's new stuff going on in this game, and I hope you enjoy it. And another warning about this, if you actually play this game and want to continue from where you started, right? You actually can't because of the new 3D camera system, so you actually gotta start over in order to get to where you are. So that was kind of a pain in the ass, but I think it's worth it, yeah. And yeah, that is just a new thing I wanted to let you guys know. So yeah, let's get going. Fault Milestone 1.
Look, I'm not against sending her up school, but I just don't see the point.
I've heard you already, Sid. Now, I want to hear what Albus has to say about the matter. Please, Albus, be honest with me. You and this big elf over here are the only people I can trust, so please don't mince words.
Regarding whether or not you both should chance sending Rune to school, I don't find any issue with the proposition, yeah. 6 years have passed since the incident with the girlies boy, and personally, I feel that's been more than long enough.
Now, we're talking about different things here, Albie. You know all about the incredible work she done for us. What's the point in sending her to school now, when there's nothing to challenge her? I just don't think it's worth anyone's time, nonsense.
I'm also referring to a special aspect, Sid. I believe that she ought to make some friends her own age, Aside from Rudo, there's no one else in her life that she can even remotely relate to. She's growing up and missing out on everything her peers experience.
And what about all the experience we missed out on, Albus? We didn't go to school. We just turned out fine.
I absolutely agree with Albus. I'd rather that she enjoy life free from the constraints of a dimly lit laboratory. I want her to experience and hopefully embrace her femininity.
I never thought I'd ever heard you advocate for a setting that's non-conductive towards education.
You know me better than that, Albus. There's a fine balance that must be struck. She'll never learn about all the other possibilities in life if she has continued producing nothing but brilliance in a laboratory. I'm not blaming either of you. I'm glad that she's assisting our goal of helping the Abbey sisters, but I also want her to interact with other children her age.
Eline has a compelling argument, Sid.
You know me, Albie. I'll converse with folks, no problem. Heck, I'll even agree with them until I blew in the face. But I learned how to interact with others over time without formal instructions. And if I could learn, anyone can.
Why did I marry such a stubborn elf?
Sid, you also forget that your genius and intellect were unlike that of any typical 11 years old. Yes, neither of us had any academic involvements because we couldn't afford it. And yes, we turned out much better than most, but sometimes even I regret missing out on the life I could have had,
Regrets, you know what I'm saying? I regret nothing about the choices I made, old friend. My words on the matter is to let Rune decide herself. I agree to disagree with the both of you, but I won't force my daughter to do anything that she doesn't want to do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Neutral to the very end.
Do you agree with them then, Albus?
I do. But what I have to say is of little significance. Ultimately, you both have to come to agreement, as parents, regarding the best course to take with your gifted child. However, I suggest that you both take into account what she wants and respect whatever decision she makes. And with that said, I will assume that she'll enjoy a change of setting as well. I'll see to it that she undergoes a physical evaluation. I'll set up an appointment at our hospital and forward the results to whichever institution you both decide to send her to.
Thank you for this, Albus. I appreciate you doing this.
I'm sure Rune will appreciate a change of scenery more. Several weeks later, before they enrolled Rune into Cadia's Academy for the Gifted, I conducted the final phase of her physical evaluation. Using a procedure known as mana resonance imagining, I captured a cross-section image of her cerebral cortex in order to determine that she was free from any neural abnormalities. This isn't right. This can't be right. Is the MRI properly calibrated?
Volthal, unfortunately, it is calibrated, sir. I personally witnessed it being served by one of our contractors who went through every step in the book before having me sign off on the job. I personally tested before putting the pen to the paper, Director.
Director Foster, this image, it can't be right. Is this really Rude's cross-section?
Not only can this not be right, it's downright impossible. This image suggested that the daughter of the CEO cannot register or regulate any emotion.
Absolutely absurd. This is unheard of. No human has ever been born without a capability of registering emotions.
Volthal, niched. I need you both to keep the findings of this image to yourself, alright? You must not follow this news to be leaked under any circumstance. This would deal irreparable damage to Eline if she ever found out. I will disclose these findings to the CEO personally when the time is right. We had discovered that a crucial segment of her cerebral cortex, in a division involved mostly with emotional registration and regulation, was non-existent. The two other researchers who were present hadn't a single inclination to the significance of the finding. I consulted several Zivits Medica staff in regard to the absence of this crucial segment, who opined? Hold on.
Opine.
Who all opined the impossibility of its absence. With all these statements in mind, we began to doubt the effectiveness of the MRS, which was still a relatively new invention. But for all of our doubts, there was at least one person who understood our findings and believed them with all their heart. The day I disclosed this matter to Sid, Rudo had been secretly listening in our conversation. Unlike myself, Sid and the other two laboratory researchers, he was convinced by these findings because he had seen things that none of us ever had. It was several months later Rune began attending the academy before Rudo opened up on the matter. This isn't a research journal. A book titled The Detection of Deception. It's a textbook concerning the nature of dishonesty and the psychological techniques used to positively identify deception.
Uncle...
What was his voice? Hold on,
Uncle Elvis.
Oh, good. Good evening, Rudo.
Do you have some time? I need to talk to you.
What's the matter, Rudo? I couldn't believe my ears. He suddenly began accusing Rune of decapitation and slaughtering animals, for no better reasons except to derive joy from watching them succumb to their injuries. There was no indication of such behavior after the incident with the Growley's boy, so I could hardly be faulted for taking his claim with a shovelful of salt. I'd suspected that this was Rudo's way of seeking retribution against Rune, using the image from the MRI as an pretense to justify his claim. There were plenty of possible motives to cite as well, namely Rune's crucial contribution to our research. Ultimately, without solid evidence to support his claims, I could only perceive Rudo's allegations as desperate and could not find it in my heart to believe a single word he said.
I don't expect you to believe it, though, Uncle Albus.
That's quite an allegation, Rudo. Did you tell your parents yet?
Not directly. Not like I told you just now. I beat around the bush, hinting that Rune could be up to her own ways. If I told her everything, exactly as I saw it, I just didn't want my mother to suffer again.
Wise decision.
That's why I wanted to consult you, Uncle Albus. Nobody else will believe my word over hers. Hers, I mean.
That's not an entirely inaccurate assessment. I suggest keeping a close eye on her, Rudo. If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate to let me know, okay? But, as it stands right now, you do not have any evidence supporting your claims of Rune's wrongdoing. Without proof, your allegations carry no weight. Ask anyone else, and they immediately dismiss your claims as hearsay. What happens if you call on them to corroborate your claims and they feign ignorance?
Is it fine?
Feign.
They feign ignorance.
I'm aware of that.
Very good. Then also, is this book yours? Rudo, you don't seriously believe that your little sister's being deceitful, do you?
I do.
How could you think that of Rune? Has she ever uttered a single falsehood in her life?
You haven't seen anything at all, Uncle Albus. That's what the book is for. What I can say for certain is that although she may appear innocent, that book describes several visual cues, for deception and deceit, all which apply to Rune.
Such as?
For example, a habitual liar is often observed to externally project and embody a capricious persona. They do not like being confined to one space after dismantling the deceit, and have a tendency to migrate in order to spread their deception to a wider audience.
While I can't comment on the first, I do recall Rune saying that she wished she could leave the outer pole one day.
I wasn't finished yet, Uncle Albus. They always have wear a smile on their face to mask their deceit. Although the presence of a smile is evident, the rest of the face remains expressionless and unengaged. I'm sure you've noticed, but outside of Laboratory 9, Rune isn't very well received in the eye of the public. I asked several people for their thoughts, and they all said it was because when they talk to her, she appears despondent and lifeless. This reaction can be classified as instinctive ignorance. There is no greater physical fear than the unknown, psychological fear, I mean. Should a habitual liar don the veil of intentional ignorance to all others in order to assume the essence of the unknown? Then they strive to become an entity to be feared. I think Rune is intentionally invoking this practice of instinctive ignorance in order to elicit negative feelings from normal people. Moreover, after reading this, I believe that she is plotting something terrible. She's keeping us all blind with her brilliance, but deep down, I know that she's up to something far worse than what she did to Marcos Growleys.
Just hold on a minute, or a moment, Rudo. You're leaping to conclusion here. without a shred of substance. You know as well as I do that Rune has been nothing but good and obedient. Now, I am not disregarding your allegations, but as an adult, I am compelled to judge and rule only after I hear both sides of the story. As it stands, your accusations against your own sister are insubstantial and incredibly hurtful.
I apologize, Uncle Albus. I may have gone too far.
In retrospect, Rudo didn't go too short or too far, but he just didn't have any proof of Rune's impending plot. I still remember every word he disclosed to me that day, but I didn't believe him. I made the worst mistake of my life that day, and I've been repenting for it ever since. Several weeks later, Elaine collapsed after drinking her laced tea, and days afterwards, 12 executives from different territories on the outer pole were poisoned by the immunostimulant. Rune had all but vanished by then, but we would soon reunite in the most unfortunate way imaginable. En route to Cadia's port, a cargo ship discovered her body adrift in the sea and unloaded it at the dock. Elaine, her heart and soul broken by the death of her daughter, was hospitalized for several weeks until she, too, drew her final breath. My mistake for not believing Rudo cost me the lives of 2 people whom I held dear to my heart. Their death set in motion a chain reaction, resulting in what would become the first collapse of Ziva's enterprise. Traumatized and clinically depressed over the deaths of his wife and daughter, Sid had become a shell of his former self. Even though he still had both Rudo and myself around to support him through the dark times, he would not listen to either of us. From that day forward, he stopped caring about the company we built from the ground up and confined himself to Laboratory 9. He sought solace and solitude in the laboratory, where he would spend the remainder of his life. One day, however, the status quo instilled by Elaine and Rune's tragic death was broken. When the sister project was nearing its final day of development, we had produced several prototypes for detecting colored mana within our mana mine, contrary to the altered purpose of the project. The Abbey staunchly refused to accept Elaine's proposed charity, so we reverted the unit back to prioritize mana dowsing. Once the board of directors had convened to address the issue of the deployment date of the prototype, Sid burst into the boardroom. Sid, you want the sisters to be compensated for their work?
Yes, I want them paid for the work that they do.
Why? What purpose would that serve? We're barely keeping our finances in the black as it is, and you want to start compensating automatons for labor? We own them!
We own them? No, I own them. See that they're all added to the payroll, or I'll make your heads roll.
But, sir.
Kirky,
Are you certain, Chief Director Zivitz?
I leave the paperwork in your capable hands, boys.
Just hold on a minute, Sid. You just cannot threaten to fire them if they disobey a questionable order. Could you at least provide us with a reason?
What makes you think that I have to prove any reason? I own this damn company. And even if I did, none of you pea-brains will even believe me. Do what I pay you all to do, and maybe you'll get to keep your jobs.
What's the matter with you, Sid? The people in this room are the lifeblood that keeps Zivit's enterprise going all these years. You cannot treat them like expendable servants.
I'm the damn CEO, Albus! What I say goes, and I expect the same for the co-founder of my company.
CEO? Some CEO you are, father. You haven't shown your fucking face for so long, and you don't even know how close we are to diving deep into financial debt.
What did you say, boy?
Are you trying to commit financial suicide by driving your own company into bankruptcy? What kind of CEO threatens his employees? The people who made his company run for years and years, with financial instability and termination. Did you lose your brilliant mind and moral compass while you locked yourself up in Laboratory 9 all these years? I'm glad my mother isn't alive to see this degenerate that you become.
Well, what'd you say? The little shy shit I had for a son is slipping off to his old man. And for all his brains, he never had half of the brilliance of his sister.
What's the matter with you? Get a grip, Dad.
I don't need a child to fuss over me. Empty out your ears and listen, because I'm only gonna say this once. This is my company. I built this from nothing. And if it damn well pleases me, I will return it to nothing.
What?
If you don't want that to happen sooner, then get your asses into gear and put the pen to the paper, damn! And if anyone interferes in any way with my sir,
sir? Huh? Sid is vomiting blood?
Chief Director Simmons, are you okay?
Chief.
Damn it!
Rudo reached out to me later that night. Rudo. Tell me, Elvis. Define Rudo Divas for me. Come again? I don't have a clear definition for that individual, because when I looked into a mirror this morning, I didn't know who it was that was staring back at me. The only thing I knew about him was that he didn't feel a single shred of remorse when he learned of his little sister's passing. Instead, what was filled in the place of remorse was shameless relief. Rudo? Rune should have never been born. She should have died as an infant, before she destroyed my family. That undefined reflection in the mirror felt liberated after her death. And all that remained of that boy was a heartless shell of his former self. So, tell me, Albus, did the boy, the Rudo Zebit that you knew, did he truly feel at peace after the passing of his little sister? Did he take great delight knowing that at long last, she would never be a threat to any other living creature? Or was he pleased because his source of endless enmity was gone for good? Or did he owe a debt of gratitude to the little sister that he lost? Because even she, that infamous little Hellion, imparted a gift onto him before she departed from this world. She taught him, in all her infinite and accursed wisdom, that humans are fragile, emotional creatures. Both are a hindrance to progress, which may only be made via logical decisions, under a constant hail of chaos. An individual whose every decision is compelled by their emotion cannot hope to shield himself and those he cares about under an umbrella of logic, lest he seeks to drown himself and those around him in the ensuing deluge. My father is a prime example of her lesson. He would sooner drown everyone in the company under his misguided philanthropy than survive under an umbrella of logic.
Rudo?
We are prisoners in a prison known as the Outer Pole. Sid Zevitz, a once radical, innovative, and brilliant mind who attempted to escape its wall through logic and ingenuity, has fallen prey to his own emotions. The only one who can continue to shield Zevit's enterprise from the ensuing hail of chaos is me. I shall become a leader driven by logic and press forth against the deluge of lunacy.
Following the conversation we had that evening, Rudo had begun experiencing an unprecedented and explosive transformation. What emerged from the chrysalis that my precious friend's son had willingly entered was a cold and callous shadow of his former self. His inability to innovate on the science and technological front still remained, even as he matured. But the most noticeable change was the sudden emergence of CEO material. Rudo channeled his brilliance of conventional codes, law, and management into practice, and single-handedly hauled Zevit's enterprise out of the financial red. In truth, Sid never cared for the financial and managerial side of running Zevit's enterprise, but Rudo unexpectedly excelled in the field that his father forsook. In an effort to cover up the tragedy his sister left behind, Rudo continued to surprise us all with an poignant proposal and innovative ideas. His most impressive innovation was a contemporary system known as the stock market, which was widely implemented around the entirety of the Outer Pole. He even brought in our company's main investors, established a board consisting of these individuals, known as the Board of Directors, and essentially conducted a complete reform of what was once a private enterprise.
Rudo! I can't seem to find my seat anywhere. Am I so insignificant that I slip your mind?
Certainly not, Director Growlies. We do have your seat in this room.
And I'm telling you that my seat ain't in this damn room, Rudo. You and your family owe me for what your sister did to my boy. You haven't forgot, have you? My boy is blind. My wife left me. My family has been destroyed. Our lives are ruined. And it's all because of that accursed girl. Your father was sympathetic to my plight when he offered me a position of power on this board, but are you? You don't intend to force a man whose life your sister destroyed out of a lifelong position that was promised by the founder, do you? For the love of Mata, the founder has lost his marbles. His son disregards reputations owed to the family's victims, and his daughter was a damn psychopath. Is insanity imprinted in the blood of every Zevitz? It's been 10 years since I reluctantly accept your father's office to sit on this board. And while this may be all that I have, my seniority guarantees that I can make your life miserable if you don't fetch my damn seat.
Director Growlies, did you just threaten... Interesting observation, Director. My life can be guaranteed misery if I do not fit your seat, correct? Oh, I find it also fascinating how those with seniority can fancy themselves into senility.
Excuse me. Say that one more time, you son of a...
Director Growlies. Do you know where it is you stand? At this very moment? Huh? You stand center stage, exactly in the spotlight for everyone to behold, discern, and dissect.
Huh?
Director, you are akin to the residual smudged of the greasy fingerprint on the pane of a glass window. You exist only as a stain in the history of this company. However, the more the stain stands out in the spotlight, the more intolerable it becomes to observe. I take it we have a mutual understanding then. Rest assured, Director Growlies, while my family may have been responsible for your family's collapse, we have since set aside 2 individuals cooperate accounts for your son and estranged wife. Your son will only be able to claim his when he's considered a legal adult, of course. And although you may have disdain for the lofty life you earn for yourself, I'm certain that they're making full use of the lifelong reparations provided to them.
Why, you son of a...
Yourself, like many others sitting on this board, have become liabilities to the longevity of the company, and will ultimately be purged by this body in an inferno.
What? Damn you! Who do you think you are, you son of a bitch? I don't have to take this abuse from a little shit like you. Son of a bitch! I've got my eyes on you, Zivit. You've been warned. You're gonna regret the day you ever crossed me, Zivit. Make my word.